There is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity.
I don't think the American people need to worry about aliens.
I've not been convinced that, life exists elsewhere.
The NORAD commander refused to rule out that the three most recent objects were aliens.
It could be aliens, it could be balloons, or it could be alien balloons. There is no evidence of alien life on Earth other than Ted Cruz.
Very mainstream discussion of extraterrestrial life because of the objects that are just technically unidentified who have been shot down by the U.S. military. Neil deGrasse Tyson is my special guest. But we do have the actual White House of the United States engaging with this question. Could they possibly be alien life, you say?
If aliens crossed the galaxy in whatever is their spaceship and arrived at Earth just to throw some balloons across North America, I'm thinking, really? Really?
That answer is very persuasive, but the counterpoint to that answer would be that a very sophisticated foreign entity, not of this world or this neighborhood, might be doing things that we don't fully understand, or might send out their little thing to test, and it's not the full spacecraft. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's the question.
Okay, so all I'm saying is, if you...
Do you believe that officials at the highest levels of our national security apparatus have unlawfully withheld information from Congress and subverted our oversight authority?
There are certain elected leaders that had more information that I'm not sure what they've shared with certain Gang of Eight members or et cetera, but certainly I would not be surprised.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
So, Elon Musk, he's not saying that there's aliens, but I think you know what's going on here. And so, InfoWars producer Greg Reese said in an April video that UFOs were being faked using technology by inventor Nikola Tesla and the Nazis. The final goal, according to Mr. Reese, would be to fake an alien invasion to enslave humanity. He called it the most dire false flag imaginable. Now, I'm not saying that that's true. I'm not saying that it is true or whatever. I'm curious on what your guys' thoughts are. And in this video, we're going to be talking about this, and then we're also getting into crypto. We're talking about Bitcoin. We're talking about XRP, the dollar, and why this is happening right now. Because the most important question is not if aliens or UFOs or whatever are real, it's why are they bringing this up now and what are they trying to distract us from? Because the newly released videos of UFOs were a plot to wrongly convince people that aliens are real before vaporizing large parts of humanity. Now, that's what Mr. Reese said. That's not what I'm saying. But one thing that's interesting is when major news outlets report on UFO topic, it's actually damaging their brand because their audience has been trained to distrust everything that comes from the mainstream media. Pro-Trump figures on the right have also adopted the idea that UFOs are being used as a mass distraction. And what's being said is they want you talking about aliens because they don't want you talking about Maricopa. They want you talking about UFOs because they don't want you talking about stagflation, the collapse of the dollar, the crisis on the border, and Biden's mental health. And so a real key here that we're going to be talking about in this video is data. Data and facts. So new data being published by the investment company Institute, ICI, shows total U.S. retirement assets grew to $34.9 trillion as of December 31, which is up 7.5% from the end of third quarter of the year and up 9.3% overall last year. Now, with such strong growth for the year, the ICI reports retirement assets accounted for a third of all household financial assets in the United States. But one thing that's interesting about this is the share of Americans who think they'll be financially prepared for a comfortable retirement dropped sharply last year. So how did this number go up, and how have the percentage of Americans that believe they're going to be ready for retirement go down. That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video, because BlackRock, the company that owns the media, the company that owns the world, found that only 56%, right? They basically control the majority of the largest asset manager on this planet. So they control a large chunk of funds, nearly $10 trillion. A lot of people are saying it's more than that. Now, I can't confirm or deny, their percentage of control over the world, but it's very clear that it's large. And so 56% of folks are saying they feel on track for retirement, and down from 63% in 2022 and 68% in 2021. The group whose confidence waned the most and dropped was Generation Z, which are max 26 years old or under, who are also more likely than baby boomers to say they would consider selling investments during a market downturn. Now, the decline in confidence underscores how market volatility and inflation have made people more worried about running out of money now and in the future. So what's happening in the dollar, what the Federal Reserve is doing, and the collapse of the US dollar is what's causing this waning in confidence of retirement. And so retirement is a complete myth. Now, here's what's interesting is, millennials, Generation Z, particularly Generation Z compared to baby boomers. Well, baby boomers have been around longer than the internet's been out, but the internet's been out longer than Generation Z has been alive. So all Generation Z knows is social media in terms of where they get their news. They're not reading a newspaper. They're not getting their information from a messenger pigeon here, okay? And baby boomers used to get their information from newspapers. They used to listen to the radio. And then once the internet came out, it was this new technology. And so because Generation Z gets their information instantaneously, it's the microwave generation, they get to see all of these influencers, all these media companies talking about what? Talking about the collapse of the dollar, talking about the collapse of the United States, shifting over to China. And so they say that we've been doing this survey on retirement for 8 years, and this is the lowest it's ever been in terms of confidence. So what is driving this? Well, it's really the market environment and the macro conditions, because the percentage of recipients who believe they are on track, going down year after year after year. Well, what is this leading to? Well, the survey of 5,725 employees found that 55% of workers plan to work after they retire, including almost 20% who plan to work full-time and over a third who plan to take on part-time jobs. And so retirement is this massive myth. If you have to retire, then you don't even love what you do in the first place, right? You should be working on what you love until the day that you die, so you don't have to retire. And so you're not choosing an age that you're going to retire and do nothing. They say that most people die after retirement. Well, it's because they have no purpose. So once you're living your purpose, by applying what we talk about in our videos and on our masterminds, then you're not going to have to retire, and money is just going to be a byproduct of doing what you love. And so when we're looking right here at the US dollar, we also have the indicator of the Fed funds rate projection right here of where the dollar is being projected to go. It's projected to go down. Now, the Federal Reserve is going to continue to raise the effective federal funds rate over the next few FOMC meetings as they try to combat inflation to bring it down to their 2% target. And the dollar is inevitably going to collapse over time, and it's going to go down in value comparison, right? The DXY compares the dollar to a basket of other currencies. And so if we're comparing it to other countries, well, the BRICS nations, they're teaming up: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia. And then we have like over 40 countries lining up to join the BRICS nations to team up against the US dollar. And then we see money being moved into the crypto market, specifically, with XRP seeing this pump in this rally after the lawsuit versus the SEC, giving XRP the only altcoin in the entire crypto space clarity moving forward. But what's holding XRP back is macro market conditions. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. So what's most likely to happen next for XRP, it's one of two things, okay? Obviously, a lot of people say it could go up, it could go down, but XRP compared to Bitcoin is what I want to look at to give us an idea of what is most likely to happen for XRP in the near term and then in the long term as well too, because we see this descending resistance from November, and just recently, with this lawsuit victory, we see XRP broke out massively. Now, the next stop for XRP in comparison to Bitcoin would be the high of November of 2021, also where it retested the resistance right here back in May of 2021. It was support all the way back in 2018 after the all-time high for XRP during that bull run in January of 2018 when we saw the bear market happen. XRP bounced right here, bounced off of it again for a second time. And what I'm looking at here is this is going to be a massive resistance that XRP will face next. So once XRP has the next rally upwards of, $1.30, potentially the high of 2021, maybe up to $2 right here, that would be the next resistance for XRP as it breaks to the upside from this downward trending resistance. Now, it really depends on what you're looking at here, because if we were to draw this downward trending resistance line from peak to peak, from the all-time high to the high of 2021, that brings us right up within this range of roughly $1.30 to $1.40. If I were to bring it down more towards this area right here that you guys can see, where the resistance was in September of 2021, November of 2021, well, it wicked right off of that. It did trade above it for a little bit for an extended period of time back in April of 2021 to May, after that lawsuit was filed. And so it wicked off of it. So that could be on the contrary of what people are looking at for XRP. However, I think this is a more likely scenario for XRP to push upwards of $1.30 with Bitcoin. So what would cause Bitcoin to rally and XRP to outperform Bitcoin? Well, that would be BlackRock's ETF, obviously, I've talked about in that previous videos. And that would be, if we look at Bitcoin based on the past market cycles, we can see something similar happening for Bitcoin right here. When Bitcoin started trading above the 50 moving average and we saw Bitcoin break the 200 moving average, we saw it get rejected from this resistance, this little box, horizontal box that you guys can see right here that acted as support. And it hovered on it from August of 2018 until it fell off the shelf of November of 2018 within this range right here. So when Bitcoin broke above the 200 moving average, got rejected from that resistance, it stayed above the 50 moving average, and then it broke above this and went all the way up to, $386 billion in terms of market cap. This is the total crypto market cap. This is actually not Bitcoin. So we're talking about the entire industry right here. I know the chart looks very similar to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the leader in terms of market cap. So one thing that's interesting to note is we broke above the 200 moving average in terms of the altcoin and the Bitcoin market cap right here back in January of 2023 after the bottom was in November. And now this consolidation period right at this resistance, which acted as support right here back in June of 2021, and also acted as support right here before ultimately falling off a shelf for, Celsius, Terra Luna, FTX collapse and all of that, and it struggled to regain it. And so once the crypto market cap regains this resistance right here and holds it as support, I believe we'll be going up. Now I could expect a spike out of here and then, a crash back next to Bitcoin's halving back in 2024, future pacing to 2024. I would expect Bitcoin to see a drop and the entire market cap to see a drop before we pass the all-time high, but then continuing the bull market trend up to the all-time high, leading up to the top of 2025. So in order for a scenario like this to take place, we need to hold this upward trending support line right here. If we break to the downside of this upward trending support line, we see the altcoin market cap and the entire crypto market cap come back down to the 4-year moving average and we break to the downside, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to continue trending downwards. This could be a fake out as well too, to liquidate some longs and then continue the uptrend. Either way, I believe we're going up leading up to 2025. The crash that would come in the market would be at the backs of a Fed pivot when they decide to start lowering interest rates, and they could start doing that near Bitcoin's halving, coincidentally enough. So let me know your guys' thoughts on that as well too. And so when we talk about, aliens and then shifting to crypto, in the part of this video, they wanted to distract you guys from the truth of what's going on in the economy right now. Maybe there's a law they're working on behind the scenes to pass their one world currency. Maybe they're doing something to completely overhaul. Capitalism's pretty much dead in this country as it is. And we're shifted over to Marxism and communism, basically, with social credit scores. Maybe they're doing something with digital IDs that we need to uncover. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos like this, then obviously subscribe to the channel and like this video. But if we go all the way back here, these market cycles are very, very similar. We saw something similar happen all the way back in 2015, when the crypto total market cap broke the 200 moving average, came back down, and then we saw a trend up to this resistance, this zone of resistance right here, which acted as support May of 2014. It acted as resistance when it broke below the support, and it acted as resistance again right here. Ultimately, it traded above it almost back to the previous high of 2014 and then consolidating sideways for an extended period of time within this range right here before breaking out after the halving. And so very similar to how we see that happening right here, we saw this consolidation period take place for an extended period of time right here below the resistance, which was support right here, break all the way up to the dead cat bounce high right here of May of 2018, getting rejected from that. And so almost a 50% retracement for that 2019 high. Now for that November of 2015 rally, that was a 786 retracement right here. And if we're looking at Bitcoin currently right now, I would expect when Bitcoin breaks out, at some point for there to be a 50% up to a 786% retracement before the halving, and then a crash for Bitcoin, followed by a continuation of the uptrend after the crash, leading into the rest of this bull market rally for the last year being the most parabolic for Bitcoin after the halving. And ultimately for the entire crypto total market cap, that'd be about 1.87 trillion, upwards of $2.5 trillion, close to the all-time high before a correction near Bitcoin's halving. And that coincides with Bitcoin's stock to flow model live chart as well too, in terms of days until the next halving where we are drastically below the stock to flow line at about $114,000 is where Bitcoin should be around this period right here, as you guys can see in the past when Bitcoin was rallying above the line. And then we saw, it turned from dark green to blue, getting close to 0 days until the next halving. We're seeing a sell off to blue below the stock to flow line. And then when we turned from blue to red, Bitcoin consolidated sideways for a little bit, then went on the rally from red to orange, and then ultimately yellow for the all-time high. Similar to right here, we were below the stock to flow line of $371. Bitcoin's price back in 2015 was $250, rallied up to the line. Then we saw a sell-off followed by consolidation sideways right below $500 until 2016. Then Bitcoin went on a rally, turned to red, saw a little bit of a sell-off, but ultimately right when it turned to red and Bitcoin halved in July of 2016, then about 6 months later, Bitcoin passed the high before the halving and went on this massive rally upwards of $1,000, 1,300, then 2,600, then 4,700, and then ultimately to the high of that 2017 bull market rally of close to $20,000. Very similarly, back in 2012 all the way to 2013, Bitcoin did the exact same thing. Turned from blue to red, Bitcoin halved, traded sideways for a little bit around 13, 14 bucks. And then once it turned to orange, then it started to go. And so once Bitcoin halves, we could see a rally up close to Bitcoin's halving, a crash, a dip, consolidation sideways for a little bit. Then Bitcoin starts to go after the halving. And so right when we go from blue, which is 0 days until the next halving, Bitcoin halves, it turns red, then we go on the bull market rally right after that. Now, what would happen to the entire crypto market? Well, we would be bullish. And based on XRP to Bitcoin's price chart, what would happen to XRP? Well, I believe XRP would outperform Bitcoin and it would be the main market leader for an altcoin. Now, there is another altcoin that I think will do very, very well, just based on recent news breaking as well too for Twitter, because Elon Musk's Twitter overhaul on Twitter X could be huge for Dogecoin and crypto generally, because Dogecoin right now, if we look at it, sitting at 7 cents right here, and the psychology of a market cycle, and I bring this up right next to Dogecoin's chart, you guys can see very clear where we are. We're breaking out of the depression stage going into the disbelief rally for Dogecoin. So for Dogecoin to go back to the all-time high, obviously there would need to be liquidity coming into the rest of the market. But looking at Dogecoin's price chart right here, very similar what happened back from January of 2018 until October of 2020, looking something like this. If we see the market dip one more time for a fake out, it could bring Dogecoin back down to 3 cents. Back down to this range right here, pre-breakout of 3 to 4 cents right here for one final dip, one final accumulation, fake out, liquidating longs, and then coming back up, retesting this resistance roughly between 11 cents to 12 cents right here. And then as we see Bitcoin halve, we see one final dip, consolidation period, the stock to flow line in terms of looking right here from 0 days until the next halving, the days until the next halving going to red. Once it shifts to red, could we see something like this take place? And then we go on a massive rally for Bitcoin, we go on a massive rally for XRP, Dogecoin starts making news, Elon Musk starts making major announcements for X being a global payment social media platform and allowing Bitcoin, XRP, Dogecoin, Ethereum, and some other altcoins as well too that he believes in. But Dogecoin's the main one that he believes in. Bitcoin and XRP have that clarity right now, primarily XRP. So I don't see why he wouldn't put XRP on the platform to be used, even though XRP is the banker's coin, right, and cross-border settlements and all that for liquidity. But Dogecoin would make some massive moves. So Dogecoin to the all-time high of 78 cents. I mean, we're sitting at 0.077 right now. What is it? I mean, it's almost a 10x. It's like a 8 to 10x away from the all-time high. So I do think Dogecoin, don't buy it. Again, don't sell it. This is not financial advice. This is just example purposes only, showing you the chart. But I do think Dogecoin would be a great large cap hold just because of what Elon Musk is doing and what this chart is looking like right now for Dogecoin. Yes, I do feel we could see one final shakeout event like we saw happen back in March of 2020, and that would come at some sort of crazy news that would be tied to the alien information, the whistleblowers coming out. Something could be tied there, right? Because they talked about, bats coming out of something coming from bats that affected everyone and closed businesses. So what would be the last shakeout event before we see the collapse of the US dollar, the DXY go down, and we see a shift over to precious metals. We see a shift over to blockchain technology. We see universal basic income hit. And then this bull run is really not the last bull run of all time, but the last bull run to see the biggest significant gains you will ever see in your life. If you didn't watch my video yesterday talking about the Dow to gold ratio, go check that out right